Hey there, cats and kittens. Welcome back to a very, very cold episode of Crossover Attack. I'm Eric Freshley from Freshly Stream Games, joined here by the freezing Hunter Davenport.
It is very cold. It's about 27 degrees here in New Hampshire. I'm sure it's much colder down wherever you are.
Yeah, it's 9 degrees today, and that's hot compared to yesterday. We were in -2 yesterday. Tomorrow warms up a little bit, and I think we get like 2 days of that, and then it goes back to cold. But that's not what you're here to hear us bitch about, right?
Yeah, we got to talk about how much we hate video games.
Yes, that's true. We do. Except we got to talk about our favorite games this year. We're going to do our favorite games this year and a couple games we're looking forward to next year. Also, we got to make up some time for some stuff we've missed. We told you last episode our recorded schedule is going to be off now because of my day job. Whatever. you heard it last episode. So yeah, we got a little bit of time to make up, including the Game Awards. It's a little old now, so we'll run through it quickly. But actually first, some hot off the presses news. This is a couple days old, and it's been quite a point of contention online. And I think even you and I might slightly disagree on this, not completely, but Xbox and their exclusives, or not exclusives anymore. What the hell's going on here? Hi-Fi Rush seems like it's coming to Switch, and Sea of Thieves is a little more nebulous, but it's been at least discussed to come to Switch and PlayStation. Actually, Hi-Fi Rush also PlayStation now. This has been a little bit all over the place, but the main meat of it is that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves seems like they're going elsewhere. What's going on, Hunter? Is this good? Is this bad? Should Xbox fans be concerned?
I don't think it's worth being concerned about, honestly. I think from a business sense, it kind of makes sense because eventually I feel like we're all going to own like a streaming stick with an Xbox logo on it. That's going to be like the future. Me personally, though, I really don't care because I'm a PC gremlin now, and I only play things mostly on my PC. I don't know. I think from a business perspective, it makes sense, at least for the games that they picked, like Sea of Thieves, that could benefit greatly from being on like the next Switch or this current Switch too, I think, really.
I think from a business perspective, it makes sense in the short term. I'm not so sure it does in the long term. Well, the extra long term, yes, because you're right. We are eventually going to go to streaming. But I'm a little bit concerned that they're jumping the gun in the same way they did the online service policies of the Xbox One at launch. Like a lot of that stuff that we all got mad about at the time ended up being true, but they were just too early. And I'm worried they might be doing that here. And like, okay, all right, all right, let's say this. If it's just Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, fine. Like that's okay. It's really like, I kind of think it's not a great idea for them, but it doesn't hurt me, so I don't give a shit. But if they stretch this out, all right, so first it was, this order might not be right, but they did the Quake remasters. Those were multi-platform, but you think, well, they're just remasters, whatever. They did Ori, and you think, well, that's first party, but they don't actually own that studio, so whatever. They did Minecraft, Dungeons and Legends. You think, well, okay, that's first party, and that's a studio they own, but it's part of Minecraft, so whatever. But now, like, they just keep, whatever the line we think is, they just keep breaking it. And so, like, okay, what's to stop Halo? What's to stop Gears? What's to stop Forza? And at that point, I don't think they're going to have a very strong console business. And they might not care about that, but I still want the console to be around. Yeah. And, like, it feels like if they go that far, then it feels like they're just writing off the console, and that would not make me happy at all because I'm still a console guy, and I'm specifically an Xbox console guy.
Yeah, I get the frustration. Like you want, like, and it doesn't. I agree. It does not make sense to just write off consoles right now because America does not have the internet infrastructure to go. Like to have the console-less future, it just doesn't. Like,
never mind other countries too.
Yeah, like. Never mind America, like these other countries who don't have Wi-Fi or access to these services. It just doesn't make sense at the moment. I don't know if they're gonna accelerate straight to the streaming future. I don't think that's happening. I think that's.
You're probably right. But at the very least, I do think there's going to be a lot of doubt. Because now, all right, now this happens. Now, what about Blade? What about Elder Scrolls?
Yeah.
What about all those things we've been like spending ever since they acquired Bethesda? We've been spending all this time debating, and I think we all settled, well, they're all going to be exclusive. And now I think that kind of puts a little bit of doubts in all these games' minds.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that gets messy for them. There's going to be a lot of confusion out there.
Yeah. And this also opens up the door for John Halo to be in Smash. So I mean,
yes.
and we can't have that. We can't have that.
Chai could be in Smash now.
He could.
That'd be pretty cool. Although I still want Xbox to do their own mascot fighter.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. And it does make Hi-Fi Rush a bigger series. That's good. Like, because that is a series. I think they could make a Hi-Fi Rush show at some point, an animated show. So that's good. And, you know, I do see a lot of people out there saying, well, okay, now this makes Hi-Fi Rush a bigger series. So then when Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes and it is Xbox exclusive, people will come to Xbox. But I don't know if that's really going to work. Like, I think then they'll just wait. Like, Ori 2 eventually, like, all right, that was the thinking when they ported Ori 1, or at least we thought it was the thinking. But then Ori 2 eventually came too. So, like, I don't know if people will come to Xbox for Hi-Fi Rush 2, if you train them to just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And let me paint you a hypothetical here. Say they do go, every one of their first party games is now like a year timed exclusive, even 2 years, let's say. Halo 6, Gears 6, I guess it'd be Halo 7, right? Halo 7, Gears 7, Fable 2, whatever. They're all going to be 2 years time exclusive, and then they come to PlayStation. Then how well does the next Xbox console sell? I think it's like Wii U numbers, honestly.
Maybe. We're not. I don't want to like throw any hard predictions out because they're so early in. But
I know I'm jumping the gun like 5 steps. I know that.
I think it does affect sales though. There's no way like people on PlayStation be like, well, why would I buy an Xbox? I could just wait and I'll get like Halo, whatever the next Halo is.
And if you think they won't wait, just look at the Epic Game Store. They're waiting on all those games.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I again, just to round this out, if it's just Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, okay. But like if it starts becoming the whole slate of first party games, I worry about them trying to accelerate too fast is I guess my point. And what that means for the console, which is what I care about. I know for Xbox, they just care about, you know, making profit, and great, but not me. Because it's not my profit. Let's quickly wrap up the Game Awards. Like I said, it's a couple weeks ago now. Overall, what do you think of the show?
I thought it was fun, honestly. The people who were like up in arms about it, I felt were a little silly because it's like the show opened with Matthew McConaughey showing up. Like it's not that serious.
I hear a lot of people say it happens all the time. People say it's the Oscars of gaming, and no, it's never been that.
No, it's not.
This is the 10th year, and only the 10th year since Spike TV, since he separated from Spike TV. If you go back before that, it's been going on forever. And this is not that different. Like, this is what he does.
I think that's embarrassing for the Oscars to call it that, to be honest.
Yeah. I think his guiding light is not the Oscars, it's the MTV Movie Awards. It's not a serious show necessarily. And, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that's good or bad, but that's the way it's always been. And I'm not surprised that, and by the way, I don't even know if we've kind of mentioned, like, the reason people are upset is the lack of acceptance speeches. And a lot of them are rushed through. And yeah, like, I would prefer to hear more from the developers, but that's just not what this show's ever been.
No.
And by the way, the DICE Awards still exist. The AIAS Awards still exist.
Mm-hmm.
The BAFTAs still exist. Like, those shows exist, and none of y'all watch them, if we're being honest.
They only care about the Game Awards because it's televised. Yeah, essentially, like it's because it's visible.
Yeah,
like
we tune in for the reveals.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I understand he's torn between he's a servant of two masters there a little bit, and he definitely errs one direction, but I don't know, man. He's putting on a television show as a pair as more. He's putting on a television show more than an award show, if
Yep.
we're being frank. And I think that's okay. I think it's a good show if you take it on those terms. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and say I think this is the best Game Awards he's done. I think it's even if you count like Summer Game Fest and Opening Night Live, I think this is the best Keighley show he's ever done. I loved this thing from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think it was pretty solid. To me, it felt like the first time since COVID that one of these actually felt like a legit thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Let's talk a few specifics here. Probably the biggest headline, at least for me anyway, was Blade. What the hell? This got out there like the night before, but other than that, boy, I think this caught everybody off guard.
Yep.
Remember in the FTC leaks, we thought they were doing Dishonored 3.
And then turns out, no.
Yeah. Boy, this is just kind of and Jeff Grubb has talked about this a lot, about how risk averse everyone in the industry is right now, and that's why licensed games are back in a big bad way. Respawn's going all in on Star Wars. Insomniac, like fucking gangbusters. Actually, we didn't even put the leaks on here, but Insomniac is doing Spider-Man and X-Men and Wolverine. I feel like there's some more Marvel games. Oh, EA is doing Iron Man and Black Panther. Amy Hennig's doing Black Panther and Captain America as a team up. There's a Transformers game in the work. There's it's just licensed games galore, because everybody is just right now launching new IPs so hard, and everyone's just so damn risk averse.
Yeah.
But you know, hey, I happen to like Marvel, so I'm not.
Yeah, me too. Hey,
and
I like Marvel, I like Arcane, so hey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like Blade. I like Blade, but I also like that it's not an A-list character necessarily. I think that's awesome. Like, if we know that Sony's going hard in on, of course, Spider-Man and also now X-Men, if Microsoft decides to do more Marvel Knights stuff, if they want to do Daredevil, Moon Knight, Punisher, Elektra, I'd be pretty damn happy.
Yeah, I would be too. I'd be actually pretty excited.
Yeah, I've wanted a Daredevil game from Ninja Theory because, you know, he has the heightened hearing, and Ninja Theory does sound so well.
Yep.
I think they could do some really neat stuff there. I flipped the hell out about Monster Hunter. And I think that's pretty clear. As a matter of fact, I made a TikTok. I made a TikTok for Blade and Monster Hunter, just my reactions to them. I do have some worries about that game. It does feel like it's going to be fully open world, which I don't know how that's going to work for Monster Hunter. I don't know if that's really what I want out of Monster Hunter. Still, though, like, I'm not going to turn down more Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's still a Monster Hunter game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm worried because I'm so excited. I have expectations so high that, like, I'm nitpicking now. But yeah, I flipped out about that, even though, like, it was a safe prediction. As a matter of fact, I think we predicted it in the episode, the last episode. But still, I was just very happy to see it. No Rest for the Wicked is the next game from Moon Studios. They are doing an action RPG in the vein of Diablo. I'd be surprised if it's like a loot chasing game, though. They seem to be more about, I don't know, telling a narrative, I guess.
Yeah.
So I you know, the action seemed like Diablo, but I doubt it's that kind of loot structure and that stuff. But gorgeous art style, which you expect from Moon Studios, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there was an intro of about like 30 seconds before they said before they put the Moon Studios logo up, and I said that sure looks like them, and sure enough, it was. You know, there was some problematic things about that studio. Their work culture seems to be not so great. So I'm a little bit soured on it from that, but I love the Ori games so damn much that I'm trying to separate my feelings on that stuff from my feelings on the game. But is that the kind of thing you'd be are you looking forward to No Rest for the Wicked?
I mean, it's not really my thing, to be honest with you, but it looks cool. I'm not gonna like hate on it. Like, it's just like a thing where I look at that, I'm like, I don't know if I'd enjoy this video game.
I can't remember if you were into Ori or not.
I played them both. I honestly don't remember most of those games.
All right, fair enough. It's been a couple years now too for them, especially
Yeah.
the first one. Light No Fire from, oh damn, what's their name? Hello Games. The No Man's Sky people. And this, the biggest reason I want to talk about this is he came out on stage again. He said, "We're making our most ambitious game."
Immediately.
What?
Immediately.
And Jeff Keighley was like, he was face to face. Jeff Keighley goes, "Oh, here we go." But you know, hopefully they learned some lessons.
I hope they did, because man, I don't want to repeat.
No. Now this is an MMO like No Man's Sky, though No Man's Sky didn't start that way, but it became one. But it's all on one planet instead of, you know, a whole solar system. And they are making this planet very, well, at least they claim they're making it very, very dense and very crazy. And there's fantasy elements too. We do see a little magic in the thing. So
yeah.
There's definitely some. Go ahead.
One thing I noticed with this trailer is this is all store-bought assets that they're making this game with. Oh. So we're not going to see this for probably a decade.
You're right, but it's weird that I've seen YouTube ads for this game already before videos. That's
really?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
That's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they're going to do like some Star Citizen rollout or something. I don't know.
That'd be... If they did like a very early alpha just to see where it's at, just be like, hey, this is like how it works. I'd be interested in that. That'd be cool, but I don't think we're going to see this game fully released in like a full like out of beta version until at least like after Mass Effect 4.
I agree. I just thought the YouTube ads were so weird because I think everything you're saying is true, and I had the same feelings on it. Hideo Kojima paraded himself out there.
He did. He showed us the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life, and I'm so interested in it.
He showed us screaming faces.
He did. The closest you will ever get to Udo Kier.
Yeah, I didn't. Apparently, the two actors he used, I didn't know them. Honestly, I'm kind of out of touch on a lot of current stuff, but they're apparently famous.
So, Sophia Lillis is Bev from the It movies. I don't know if you've seen those.
No.
She's okay. And Hunter Schafer is a trans actress.
Okay, I did hear that.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Kier is just
I don't know what they're from though.
Udo Kier is just a weird German man, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that guy, but he had like an interesting face. Anyway, they just like recited some weird riddles or some shit and then started screaming. Or I guess Hunter was the only one that screamed, but still.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on there?
I don't know, but I'm all for it.
Did you see the thing about there being letters hidden on their faces that is some kind of Silent Hill tease? I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, so the I think it was like, if you look closely, you at Udo Kier's face, his mouth forms the kanji for Silent Hill or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So I don't know. Who knows what's going on there?
My suspicion, and who knows, Kojima's nuts, and like I'll say just personal opinion, this shtick of the weirdo advertising stuff is wearing thin on me personally. I know I know a lot of people still love it, including you, and that's totally cool. Just for me, I'm a little bit sorry.
Yeah, but to be honest, man, you weren't the biggest fan to begin with.
That's a fair point. And I don't like horror either. So like, there's nothing for me. Anyway,
he's just a silly Japanese man. That's it.
What I was gonna say is my guess is that it's not actually tied into Silent Hill. They don't have the license for that, but I bet this is a lot like oh god, what's the name of the demo?
Oh, a PT.
Yes, my guess is this game will end up being a lot like PT without the Silent Hill game. Just a guess. Who knows? There's still some cloud stuff in this game, so
he was like talking about how he wanted. That's why he went with Xbox, is because he was so interested by the cloud stuff.
We didn't even talk about his guest out there yet either.
Oh yeah, so he had Jordan Peele come out and be like, "Guess what? We're working together."
And I believe he also said there's going to be more, and I don't know if that means like maybe it's some anthology game where like Jordan Peele's going to do a part and somebody
That'd be
else is
cool.
going to do a part. Who knows? Who knows with that guy? He's a weirdo.
He is.
And
Very strange man.
We still got Death Stranding 2 to get out, I imagine, before OD. So like
Definitely.
this might be a ways off too. But this was just another game of Xbox came strong at this show with Blade, OD. I feel like I'm forgetting. Oh, Hellblade 2 was there. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't put on the list, but Hellblade 2 were their first like gameplay trailer, the combat trailer, first time we saw combat. So Xbox came strong at this show. Sega, you want one game? Too bad. You're getting fucking 5 games.
And I don't know if you caught this. They seem to imply there are more games being developed.
No, not even imply. It said at the end, like they had the list of 5, and it said and more to come at the end. I think a lot of people are thinking Virtua Fighter's coming.
Yeah.
And there were rumors about a remaster of the original Phantasy Star Online, but they're still trying to make because they're still trying to make Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis happen. Although I don't know how successful it is. I unfortunately did not get to put as much time in that game as I wanted. But the games were Streets of Rage, Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, and Shinobi. Shinobi in particular stood out because it does look like, at least there's been no official announcement, but the art style sure looks like the guys that did Streets of Rage 4. Mm-hmm. Lizard Cube, I think's their name.
Yeah. I think making that game a 2D platformer, like not making that like a third-person action game, is the smartest idea they've ever had.
Yeah. Well, the originals were 2D platformers, and then it was the PS2 where it went to 3D.
Yeah, that game sucks.
I never played it. All these games, none of them look like they have massive budgets. Maybe Jet Set Radio. No. But I'm okay with that on all of them. Crazy Taxi looks like it had some multiplayer. Like we saw a cops versus taxis mode in there. Like we don't know specifics of what that'll be, but that could be really cool. Golden Axe, I suspect. I don't know. I got a feeling that won't. Like I got a feeling it's gonna be Swimming in Sevens game where it's like probably not gonna be great, but like still looks like it could be dumb fun.
I always think of Golden Axe as like the redheaded stepchild of Sega, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Streets of Rage is a little bit worrying that they're not just doing Lizard Cube again because they did so great on Streets of Rage 4. But hey, that doesn't mean somebody else can't do a good job too.
Yeah.
And what they showed looked 3D. This was all like we saw maybe 5 seconds of each game, so it's tough to draw many conclusions. But and Exodus is the last one on this list here. Matthew McConaughey is making this game single-handedly in his basement. That's exciting.
He's holding ex-BioWare devs hostage and telling them to make Interstellar the game.
So this is not Casey Hudson's game, but it is, yes, SMX BioWare people.
Yes. So this is, what is the name of the studio? Archetype Entertainment.
Yeah.
So
this is Mass Effect, by the way. If people didn't know. Like, it's not Mass Effect, but it's Mass Effect.
Yeah. And so I'm into this. I've watched this trailer a lot, and I'm really excited for this game.
Absolutely. This is another one that I made a short out of. And yeah, this was like, as it goes on, I'm like, oh boy, that looks like Mass Effect. And that looks even more like it. And that looks even more. And yeah, it's tough to tell where it is in terms of stage development, how soon we could see it, but that was a very exciting thing. And the fact that this was the first game as part of the main show, they did a pre-show, but I think that means Jeff Keighley's got a lot of faith in it too. Or they paid him a lot of money, one of the two.
Hey, I mean, I'm anything ex-BioWare devs have, the good BioWare devs, and I like BioWare games now, let's be real, but I'll follow them to the ends of the earth, I will.
Absolutely. So that was the Game Awards. There was more stuff there too, but like those were the big ones. And as a matter, actually, there's a couple more we're going to talk about. I think when we talk about games we're looking forward to for this year now. I was going to say next year, but it's not next year anymore. Next story, E3. Were you looking forward to that this year? Because you're not anymore. Not a huge surprise here, but it's officially dead, for real dead. Even the ESA is saying, we're done with this shit. which makes me wonder how much longer the ESA is going to be around, because this was a big
Yeah.
moneymaker for them.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, I don't really know what their purpose is anymore. Like, you know, there's supposed to be a lobbying group for when Congress comes after video games for loot boxes or whatever. The ESA is supposed to be the spokesman for the industry, but I don't know if they've been doing a great job of that. I know that this may be a few years old now, so maybe I shouldn't hold on to this grudge, but they leaked gaming journalists' information.
Yep.
And now they can't run E3. So, like, what are they there for exactly?
Just lobbying now, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jeff Keighley has won. I will say I could see, not this year, maybe in like 5 years, somebody trying to buy the E3 name off of them and giving it another go.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley.
I don't know if he would. Because, like,
no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Yeah,
but
like at this point, Summer Game Fest is like, that's his baby. It's almost a pride thing, I think, for him at this point.
I would love for him to just buy the rights and just not use them.
Well, that'd be fantastic, actually. I didn't think of that. So yeah, we're gonna get more Keighley. We're gonna get more Nintendo Directs and Xbox shows. Actually, I forgot to write down there is an Xbox show in 2 days. How about that? Or wait, what day is it today? 3 days.
Today is
Yeah. Which, well, actually, I guess by the time you're hearing this, it's probably 2 days. But whatever, it's happening. I didn't even write that down. I meant to, forgot about it. But Hellblade 2, Avowed, Indiana Jones, and Ara History Untold were the 4 announced games. Last year they announced 4 games and they snuck one in with Hi-Fi Rush, so 5th. So that could happen again. Although I don't.
Maybe. I doubt it.
Yeah, I think there's 2 possibilities, or most likely no, none of them. But if it's going to happen, there's 2 possibilities. One is Towerborn, which I heard is not going to be ready till the end of the year, but maybe they shadow drop a beta for it. That could happen. The other is Kiln, which is a Double Fine multiplayer game that they did a Amnesia Fortnite, their game jam thing that they do.
Yeah.
They did this one for a game called Kiln, and then they later trademarked it. So it looks like they're going to actually make that a real game, which is have you seen this thing at all?
Yeah, it was in the documentary. Yeah, it was really cool.
It's goofy and weird, and yeah, it looks awesome. So that could be a shadow drop, but most likely, I don't think they want to do a shadow drop every year. Like you can't.
No.
You can't.
I think Hi-Fi Rush just worked out the way it did, to be honest.
Absolutely. But either way, it's good to see. You're going to see more shows like this. You're going to see more state of plays. You know, lots of what we have seen the last couple of years to take the place of E3. I will be live streaming that developer direct, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I ran through all those games real quickly. Indiana Jones. Well, actually, you're going to talk about Indiana Jones a little bit later, but
yeah,
Hellblade, Avowed, Ara. Any of those got your fancy?
Avowed definitely has my, because I love Pillars of Eternity, and it's like that's a Pillars game, but in first person, so that's cool. I'll play that.
Yeah. Yeah, probably none of those for me specifically. Maybe I really liked the first Hellblade, but now as we've talked about, I don't really. I liked that genre when it came out, and now I've kind of moved away from that genre. Plus, that game was super intense, which was great for like a 6-hour experience. I'm a little bit worried if this is going to be 20 hours, 30 hours. Like, I am
worried about making a sequel to the first Hellblade a whole lot, because it's like that game is like a experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if you should have made a sequel to that.
I don't either. And even if it is really good, I don't know if it's gonna be something I want. If they try to make it like as long as a God of War, like I don't think I can take that from Hellblade.
I'm just comfortable leaving the first Hellblade where it lays, personally.
Yeah. And that'll probably be what I do as well, unless it comes out when like nothing else is coming out. And Indiana Jones we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
And the last thing, as far as news go, Last of Us multiplayer was officially canceled. Not a huge surprise, but how are you feeling about Sony's live service push?
I still feel like 10 was a little excessive. But I think one will stick. There'll be one that'll stick. Yeah. I just think the rest are gonna die horrible deaths.
Uh, it's tough to feel like they really know what they're doing with these kind of
Yep.
games. Bungie was supposed to get them there, and then Bungie, I'm not gonna say imploded, but they're hurting over there.
Hmm.
So like their expertise might not be so expert after all. And that's tough for me to say because I love that studio. I love Destiny and the old Halos. But yeah, I don't know. Fair Games, Concord, allegedly Twisted Metal. That's the one I'm holding out for. Helldivers is coming out real soon. I don't know if that's actually live service though. I don't feel like the first Helldivers got a lot of post-launch content. I wasn't paying very close attention to it, so maybe I'm wrong about that. But I don't know. It's multiplayer for sure, but I don't know if it's live
I don't.
service.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
That whole thing is weird to me, to be honest.
I played the first one a little and I liked it, but I didn't spend a lot of time with it. So let's talk about the year that was. This is gonna be our meat here of the episode. We each got 5 games, our favorite 5 of the year. And how do you want to do? Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to just?
But let's go back and forth because
Okay.
I'm interested in hearing individual thoughts.
Okay. My number 5 game of the year was Remnant 2. That game, I was looking forward to it for like a month before it came out, but not as much as it took me by surprise. I was underestimating it, even though I was excited about it. That game is really, really impressive because there's a whole layer beneath the surface layer of it. And I did talk about it when it came out, but it looks just almost like a co-op looter shooter, and it is that, but there's a level of secrets in that game and a level of adventuring in that game. That's exploration in the game. That's the word I was looking for. That took me by surprise. There was it kind of reminds me of the way people talk about the first week of when Fez came out, and like the community was discovering all this stuff that like secrets that aren't even hinted at in the game. And Remnant 2, I remember that first like 2 weeks it came out, every day you would go on the Reddit and somebody like, hey, I just discovered this crazy ass thing. Can somebody else try to replicate it and see if I'm nuts or if this actually happens? And then yeah, sure enough, there was. I remember like they revealed, I think 4 classes at the beginning. There's actually 10 in the fucking game, which we had no idea that was going to be the case. And, secret ways to kill bosses that get you different loot than just normally killing them. Hidden stuff in each level. It's so nuts. And, it's each campaign and adventure mode too is so randomized that like there's 3 main levels, but each of those has 2 main stories. So when you go through the campaign, you literally only see half of the stories. You have to go through again to see the other half, and you might not even get them. It might be randomized. And if you get those stories, you're not necessarily going to get the same dungeons in your playthrough. It's so nuts. It's so replayable. And it feels really good, by the way. I didn't even talk about how the action feels great too. Like none of this shit would matter if it didn't feel good to shoot people, but it feels good to shoot people. And the actual action kind of reminds me of Mass Effect, where you got, your 2 abilities on your shoulder buttons and your gun. And yeah, I really, really love that game.
This is one of those games where I haven't played, but every time someone talks about it, they're like, yeah, so like everyone discovered this secret subclass that was buried deep in the game that like no one knew about for a month. I'm like, what is going on? This is crazy.
That last subclass, I haven't even unlocked it yet, because you got to have a million. There's like a laundry list of things you have to have unlocked to get it, and I don't have it yet. Yeah, it's good. And the DLC is starting to roll out. It's on Game Pass now. They added it like a month ago. And the first one too, Remnant 1, which I only played a little bit of Remnant 1, but Remnant 2 got me. I'm gonna grab water. You talk about yours.
So number 5 for me was the Dead Space remake, and I kind of agonized over this because I was going to put Resident Evil 4 on here, but after kind of thinking about it and just like thinking about what I truly enjoyed more, I kind of really loved the Dead Space remake a whole lot. Making Isaac speak was the best decision they could have possibly made, because in the first game, in the original release, he's a silent protagonist. when he speaks in this game, it makes him seem like less of a sociopath. Uh, it's and also in terms of just like gameplay and like moving around, they made the game feel so fantastic. Like there's the sequence where you fire like turrets at asteroids. That used to be like a horrible experience in the first game, and they made it into like this really easy and intuitive way just to do it. Fantastic game all around. EA Motive, it just impressed me every time.
That decision to make him speak was controversial before released. People were worried about it, and yeah, I've heard just after it's released, just universal. Everybody agreed like that. Oh, they were right.
Yep, they were definitely right.
Yeah. EA Motive is working on Iron Man now, so that's a good sign for that game.
Yeah, there's the zero gravity sections in Dead Space Remake. I'm like, you could like tool this around to make like really fun Iron Man flying.
And they can also call their EA buddies over at BioWare as ask about Anthem because flying worked in that game. If for all the flaws in that game, flying was good.
Yep.
My number 4. I was actually just playing before we recorded. And actually, it's the first time I played it in a couple months. Pikmin 4. Actually, what I'm gonna say about my number 4 and also my number 3 are gonna be pretty similar. They're just two joyful games. They make you smile. They feel really good. Oh, Pikmin 4 specifically is what I'm talking about now. Makes you smile. Feels really good to play. They've taken a lot of the pain points of previous Pikmins. I just said like 4 P words in a row there. Out of this one and really made it not just beginner friendly, but really friendly to even returning players. A lot of the frustrating stuff in other games that was like just annoying are now gone, and they give you a lot of abilities now that make it so that it's not so easy to lose Pikmin just around the map randomly. You got the dog Ochi, who's extremely helpful in a lot of stuff like collecting Pikmin and finding stuff where there's now stuff that like just earlier tonight actually I have one map 99% complete and I could not find last thing, and then I remembered Ochi has this ability to like, hey, you can sniff and get a scent and just show me what I'm missing, and he did. He didn't show me exactly what it was, but he led me in the right direction. I eventually found the thing I was missing and 100% of the map. It is just a much smoother Pikmin experience, and it's a game that I think I get this out of a lot of good puzzle games too. It just makes you feel smart, even though like it's not super complicated or anything. It feels more complicated than it actually is, and it makes you feel smart to get things done in that game, to solve puzzles in that game. Yeah, I really like it. And if people have not played previous Pikmins, which I played Pikmin 3 and I played 1 earlier this year actually for the first time. So I'm not like a connoisseur of the series, but I would say this is the one to jump in at. This is a outstanding game. It's one of the Switch's best games. Yeah, it's got me.
This is a game that I really want to get to. I just have not. It's like I don't really touch my Switch anymore. I've been playing some Mario RPG on and off recently. But like other than that, I don't really touch my Switch because I'm at a point with my Switch where I'm like, just give me the next console.
Well, we're getting it this year probably.
But if if I get that new console, it's backwards compatible, I'm gonna pick this game up because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
You did just remind me there's a demo out too, and it's your demo progress carries over to the main game because it's just the first couple hours. The first hour is slow, but after that, man, it's good. It's like a warm hug.
All right, so my next game, let me pull it up, is Hi-Fi Rush. This game's fucking fantastic. Like, we're both. I've heard you talk about this before. I'm not a very rhythmic person, I'd say. This game tricked me into thinking I was. Yeah, this game's fantastic from top to bottom. So much so that I named my cat after the main character. Yeah, it's such a good character action game slash rhythm game slash hilarious all the way through. Fantastic video game.
Yeah, I only got to play this a little bit. And I did struggle with the rhythm parts of it, but now they've actually added, since the last time I played it, I think they've added options to make it easier to hit on beats. So I need to get back to it too, because I loved the look of it. I loved that it's not super long. I love the soundtrack. I'm a big Black Keys fan. Yeah, everything about this game, I struggle a bit with the rhythm, and just other stuff came out. Even like the rhythm shit, I still wanted to keep playing more. Just other stuff came out. That happened a lot this year. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush was, and it was such a cool way to start off the year. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people were hoping it was going to get a Game of the Year nomination, and I think a lot of years it would have, but just this year was so crazy.
The year of killers. It couldn't. Yeah, there's no way.
Mine, and I already started hinting at it a little bit. My number 3 is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Speaking of like a game just feels like a warm hug. There is just nothing. You feel no pain when you're playing this game. Life is just sunshine and rainbows. They just nail the feeling of a 2D Mario better than all the new Super Mario Brothers games have. The that series. That's such a weird series to talk about because the name is new. Whatever. You hear me? And yeah, I'm so glad the changes they made with the art style. I'm so glad the changes they made with the music. There's no more of those wah wah songs. Those were annoying. The online features are so cool. It feels like an evolution. I think Jeff Gershman was the one that said it. Feels like the evolution of going on the playground and telling your friends secrets, because now you like see people's ghosts and see what they're. You can kind of see like when they're. You can't lay a standee on the ground, right? So if you see one floating in midair, that means there's a hidden platform there. And like that's how we're sharing secrets now. Without any talking. There's no voice chat. Obviously it's a Switch, so no voice chat.
It is the fun version of Dark Souls.
Yeah. Boy, great level design. And they do have the challenging levels in there, but they're optional. Like each level when you go in, it has a challenge rating. And as far as I can tell, at least so far, I want to say 4 and 5 star difficulties, none of them are required, but you're going to want to do them if you're a big fan. Just great. The online, when we saw the trailers for this game, we knew we were happy about the changes they're making graphically and stuff. I did not expect the online stuff to be so game changing. Yeah. 2D Mario's back in a way that we have not really seen since. God, what was the one before they started new Super Mario? Was Super
Oh my God, there was a period of time before new Super Mario Brothers.
Is it all the way back to Super Mario World? It can't be.
No.
And I guess all right. So after Super Nintendo was the N64, that didn't have any 2D Mario.
There's no 2D Marios on Game Boy, was there?
Super Mario Land 1 and 2. That's where Wario was introduced, but I think that was before Super Mario World. Maybe. Don't know.
There's like a whole period of time where they just weren't making these.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was such a big deal when it came back. And like, all right, I sometimes I think the new Super Mario Brothers games get ripped on too much. Like they're not bad games.
They overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, they definitely overstayed their welcome, and they're just kind of, especially artistically, they were just kind of safe and boring. But anyway, yeah, this was great, and 2D Mario's back in a big way. I hope they do a couple more of these.
Yeah, it looks cool. I was really interested in like the kind of for lack of a better word, drug-addled style.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even get into like the Wonder Seed stuff. That shit is nuts. And like the ones where it just makes the enemies sing is like there's no challenge there, but it's just funny and it just makes you smile. But then there are ones that are super challenging. Like the Bulls on Parade one, where there's a rampage and you have to stay on the back of these bulls throughout the whole level.
And rage against machines there, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. but they're not political, you know.
They're
Yes.
not. No. All right, so I guess I'll put on my Sony pony hat now. My third pick is Spider-Man 2. This I was like, is this my game of the year for like a couple months there, or I was sitting on that. I was like, I really love this game. I think this game is fantastic. In any other year, this would be my favorite game that's come out this year. But it was 2023, and there was 2 other games that I love more.
Well, go ahead.
This game, from like a Marvel fan's perspective, is so good and just kind of like understands the Spider-Man character so well, while also doing its own thing and like providing an interesting spin on a story that honestly is a little tired at this point. I don't ever want to see another symbiote suit after this game ever again.
Yeah,
I'm so done. But just a really, really fantastic game that has little problems, honestly. Like nothing. I had small criticism, but it just everything about it that's not my criticisms are fantastic.
Yeah, it seems great, and even like again, Jeff Grubb and Dan Reichert are people who are not really into narrative in games, and they still love this game, which makes me want to play it. I'm just, I'm burnt out, not on Marvel stuff and not on Spider-Man, but just that formula game, which we've talked about a million times. So I don't need to go back into that. But I am such a Marvel fan that I do need to make time for this at some point. There's just,
it's very good,
Yep.
very well put together video game that has little issues, and depending on how much they bother you, you might not like it. But I find this really fantastic, to be honest.
I did love the first one, and I liked Miles Morales. I just felt, especially like about halfway through Miles Morales, I was starting to feel like, okay, like it's starting to get long in the tooth for me at that point. There was nothing bad about it or anything. It just starting to feel like a lot of the same. And I guess that's still why I haven't got into Spider-Man 2. And I was feeling that way about God of War also, which is why I still haven't played that DLC, even though everyone's saying that DLC is fantastic.
Really good. Yeah.
Did you play that DLC, by the way?
I have not, but I have watched a lot of people stream it because I was just curious, and I was like, I don't want to turn out my PlayStation, to be honest.
Right, yeah. That was another thing at the Game Awards that I guess we forgot to mention.
Yeah, it's free. You can go play that now.
It's free roguelike mode, and I love that trend. I want to see more games do roguelikes. As a matter of fact, we'll get to it when we get to like the current games we're playing. My number 2 game of the year is crazy to say because like this would be number 1 in almost any other year. This year had like 4 bona fide masterpieces for me. 4 10 out of 10 games. I think Pikmin, Mario, and my next 2 are all 10 out of 10s. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. And it's like tough to come up with new things to say about this game because, and especially like, all right, so much of it is Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild got discussed ad nauseum, and Tears of the Kingdom got discussed ad nauseum. The combining of weapons and other consumables and everything, plus the building, the master hand stuff, I didn't expect it to work as well as it did. I didn't expect it to change the game as much as it did. It is like, I remember before it was coming out, we were thinking how we were worried it was just going to be more Breath of the Wild. And in some ways it is, but these things, the master hand and what do they call the fusing system? I don't remember. But
is it just fuse?
It might be just fuse. They really do change the entire game. So does your companion abilities, even though I complained about how they're actually controlled, and I still think it's valid. I'm glad that they are there. I just wish they controlled a little better.
Yeah.
You take maybe the greatest video game of all time and try to improve on it. That's a tough thing to do. And but I think they nailed it. And this game, you can ask me any day, and some days I might say I like Breath of the Wild better. Some days I might say I like Tears of the Kingdom better. And I haven't done everything in the game yet. I still want to. And it's they had an impossible task, and I just think they blew it out of the water.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, great video game. I have not dived as deep into it as I want to, only because there's so many games that came out this year.
Right.
I'm going to go back to it at some point. But that game, from the 5 hours or so that I played, fantastic.
Man, only 5.
I was only 5 hours in. I checked my playtime yesterday when I turned my Switch on.
Wow.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
This year, man, like
yeah,
we talked about Hi-Fi Rush. I only got to play like 2-3 hours, and I like that game. And like Spider-Man, I haven't even touched. And
yep.
Actually,
Crazy.
You know what? The next game that we're both going to talk about is probably the number one reason for me.
Yeah, I think this is also the reason why that I didn't. Because didn't this come out directly after?
Pretty soon after, maybe like a month later or so.
But yeah,
play it right. Well, go ahead.
So I'm just gonna say it. My number two pick is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
And I think you have it on your list as well. I think people could probably guess.
Yeah, I only have one spot left. That's where it is.
This game, fucking fantastic, man. Like I can't even put into words how like brilliant this game is. Mm. Like in a lot of ways, I'm like, I look at this and I'm like, this is like the one, like if not one of the best video games I've ever made. Like it's just that good.
Absolutely.
Like it's so open-ended. It's crazy.
It feels like the evolution of BioWare.
Yep, it does.
And which is, I know BioWare made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, although I didn't play those, so I don't know. But yeah, it is. And actually, there have been some comparisons of Zelda and Baldur's Gate, not in terms of like, obviously, they're different genres, but just in terms of how much agency they give the player. How there's no right, like they give you problems, but you come up with your own solution. And you, like a lot of games say that, hey, tackle these problems any way you want. And usually that means you can go in guns blazing or you can sneak through a vent. And both Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate, there's 20 ways to solve anything. Some of it's super easy. So I played through this single player, although I loaded up with so many mods that eventually fucked me, and now I can't finish that save. It's corrupted. Maybe I'm still going to try to play with it a little bit. That's on PC. But now I'm doing another run on Xbox in 4-player co-op, which is like a totally different experience, by the way. And in this case, we were getting our ass kicked by the hag, because I think we're doing that fight a little bit earlier than we should. And 2 of us were down, and one of us who was still up was like half their hit points were gone. We were screwed, just out of sheer desperation. He's like, I have no actions left. I'm gonna give her a shove, and we shoved her through the hole, and we won. Like, and it was super easy when you do it that way. Otherwise, we were going to lose that fight. There's ways around a lot of the toughest bosses and toughest fights in this game. You can talk your way out of them. And you can talk your way out of them in different ways. And you can, I just found out the other day in the goblin camp, you can throw poison in their punch bowl, and that wipes out like half of them because they.
What? You could do that?
Yes. I haven't done it myself yet. I think we're gonna try to do it in this co-op playthrough, but I've heard you could do that. And there's just, I'm so blown away about. Actually, just earlier today, I was kind of. It's tough to read the Wikipedia of this game and not spoil yourself, which happened to me earlier today. And I won't say what the thing is, but something that I did not know involving the Dark Urge. I'll say that. Some crazy shit happens with Dark Urge that I did not know later in this game. That seems like it's going to change everything. Yeah, it's just. I don't know how any person is ever going to see everything in this game.
No.
It's so nuts. You got to do like 8 playthroughs. Probably 1 for each origin character, and then 1 playing as like I don't even want to say like a good guy and bad guy, because like that's simplifying it more than this game does.
It is the craziest video game I've ever seen in my life. The most like extravagant like exercise in just do whatever you want. This is
Yeah.
D&D. Like it is slavishly devoted to the concept of this is Dungeons and Dragons. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Absolutely. And now, like, I know some things about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not an expert, but I knew nothing about the game at all. Now I've learned some things about it. I watched that Chris Pine movie because of Baldur's Gate, which actually that movie was really good. But
The movie's great. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 is my game of the year. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I hope they do an expansion, and I hope they do Baldur's Gate 4. And I hope that other studios do a Star Wars CRPG that is like this much. Do a Marvel one. It could be also original IP. You don't have to just do these. I want a Mass Effect CRPG.
Me too, man. I want a Mass Effect anything.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll take the next actual Mass Effect, but I would love.
Yeah.
I know also a Mass Effect CRPG. Yeah, this was great. And like, it kind of. I've been thinking about like, maybe I should play some other CRPGs. I don't think any are this good. Like I heard Wasteland 3 is pretty damn good. I hear that Rogue Trader game's pretty damn good, but not like this. This thing's
I think
crazy.
the closest thing I could recommend are the Pathfinder games.
Yeah.
And even those are like not as good as Baldur's Gate 3.
Even
though I love those games.
Their previous two games, I played a little bit of Divinity 2, a tiny little bit. And maybe I'll go back and play that after this now. But
I love those. Those games are fantastic. And then you play this and you're like, oh, this studio is like the best CRPG studio.
And those, if you played more than me, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't do in Divinity, not every character's voice acted, I don't think.
No.
And they don't do the cutscenes where they, bring the camera in on people's faces, right?
No, there's no motion capture whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's important, I think, to to not make it seem so intimidating. Like, because CRPGs can be really intimidating to get into. And this just feels like they kind of have these things that almost trick you that you're playing a CRPG.
Yep.
Yeah.
They sure do.
Yeah.
The next game is going to be crazy. I think this game's nuts. I'm like, what? They're going to like up whatever they're doing here. The next one.
I think early access helped them a lot too.
It did. Smartest move they could have possibly made.
That was the smartest move they could have made, and also letting the bear sex thing out before. Like, this game is, like I said, it was early access, so it's been around for a while and it's had a dedicated fan base, but that was the moment that it like blew up. That was the moment where everybody started paying attention. That was where they got me. When they did that stream, we had an episodes a couple days after that, and I remember like saying, Hunter, you tell me about this bear sex thing because I'm never gonna play this fucking game. And now it's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts that this all started with bear sex.
Yeah. You're number one, sir.
So there's one game that came out this year that I tried. I was like, maybe Baldur's Gate 3 is my game of the year. And then the more I sat on that, I was like, I think I know what my favorite game this year was released.
Real quick, I won't say the name because we'll talk about it in a second, but what I thought was your number one isn't even on your list, which really shocks me.
Really?
Well, look, do you have the Google Docs still up? Because I wrote it down to remind myself. But
hold on, let me pull this up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's not on my...
We'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead with yours.
So, yeah. It's like a Dragon Gaiden, the Beta Race state. I am a massive Yakuza / Like a Dragon fan. I think I've talked about this on the podcast. I love this series. I wanted to put the game that you wrote down on the list, but the more I thought about it, I was like, I feel like because of how much I love this series, it elevated this game from like a 9 to about an 11. Is my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah. I fucking love this game so much. It has I'm not a very emotional person. I cried at the end of this game.
Man.
The ending of this game made me cry. It is that good. If you are like a Dragon fan, this game is absolutely worth playing, especially leading up to another game we're going to talk about later on. The sequel, the sequel, like Infinite Wealth. Like if you want to prepare for that, I'd play this immediately. Like, it's that good.
How did it feel to go back to the brawling rather than
Not
turn-based RPG?
honestly, it was not difficult transition because like I'd been doing it for so long. But I'll be honest, I kind of prefer the RPG stuff now after playing the game.
Well, good news for you later this month.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
I remember when they announced this game, I had assumed it was going to be, plus it was the fact it was Game Pass day one also. I assumed this was going to be a short game. How did it end up lengthwise?
I beat it in 10 hours.
Okay, that's not that short.
Yeah.
Like,
You could pad it out by doing the side stories, but
you can pad it out by playing 20 hours of Daytona USA too.
Yes, you could if you wanted to. There's ways to pad it out, but like the story was so enthralling that I just kind of plowed right through it and like did a couple side stories that admittedly are pretty good side stories. But yeah, the game's fantastic. You can beat it in 10 hours, like, and it's super great. And I'd honestly play this if you've only played the first 2 Yakuza games, honestly.
I'm Yakuza curious. I've tried to dip my toe in it and I liked what I have. But it just like, I want to get caught up with the story. That's a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately you have to play them all in order.
What I probably need to do is watch like a YouTube series.
Yes. I think Yakuza 4 actually has like a catch-up feature that lets you watch like this is what happened in the first 3 games if you really just want to go through it.
So what we were kind of being secretive about there a little bit is I'm really surprised that Alan Wake 2 is not on your list.
I love that game. I really love it. I didn't put it on my list only because the more I thought about it, like this is, if I don't talk about these games, I am going to not have to be like, I'm going to feel like I cheated myself because these are the games that like I feel like I sat on the longest, to be honest.
I had a couple of those myself, which I won't get into much, but like Valheim almost made my list. I played a lot more Valheim than I expected. Game Bang On Balls Chronicle almost made my list.
Craziest name I've ever heard.
Diablo 4 almost made my list. There was a lot. Just an incredible year top to bottom. But that's in the past. Fuck that year. 2023, eat my dick. It's time to talk about this year, 2024. We got 3 games each. Actually, I'm cheating a little bit. I got 4 games, but I'm gonna group 2 of them together. I started off the last list. So how about you start off here? What is your? I don't know if these ones are in order, but just give me one game you're excited about here.
Well, I'll just start off by saying Infinite Wealth in a couple weeks. Like that's the GOAT for me this year right now. Yakuza Goes to Hawaii. I'm pretty excited about that.
And it's got an Animal Crossing mode.
It does. I saw an advertisement with popular internet comedian Drewski in it, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's Drewski and Sega teaming up.
I don't know who that is. But...
Yeah. If you're like terminally online like I am, like it's very strange. I also saw there's a job where Ichiban puts on a football costume. That's pretty amazing.
All right.
So pretty excited about this game.
I think I heard somebody say there's a cowboy job as well. Is that true?
Yeah. It's gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait for this game.
This series seems like something I'd really like. I gotta do it. I gotta bite the bullet and do it. I do own Yakuza Like a Dragon as well. And then all the other ones are on Game Pass. But yeah, like I said, there's no way I'm gonna play them all. But I need to at least catch up somehow.
If you played Like a Dragon, you'd probably be catched up enough for Infinite Wealth.
I haven't played it. I own it, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah. It's the easiest way to like do it would be Like a Dragon, and then if you like it enough, then play Gaiden.
Real quick thought. How'd you feel about Ishin?
I love Ishin. Okay. I did not put it on this list because I felt weird about putting more than one remake.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's actually why Super Mario RPG didn't make my list, because the remake. Mine, I'm gonna say Towerborn. This is a game that I feel like it's getting really overlooked, and
Mhm.
this is Xbox, maybe because it's Xbox, but Xbox and PC, and it is from Stoic, the makers of the Banner Saga, but it's a totally different game from them. And I guess the art style is somewhat
Very
similar.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is a brawler. This is a Castle Crashers s game. Um, Also, it is. They're not calling it live service, but they are saying that they're gonna, with the season, the real world seasons, they're gonna have seasons in the game. It is. It sounds like it's going to be evolving. I don't think they're going to sell like battle passes and shit like that, but it is something that's going to have a long tail of content. It sounds like. But the biggest thing that impressed me about it, and maybe I'm a simple man, I just see cool shit like this and I want in, but are these like combo moves where and the trailer showed one player doing an uppercut to make an enemy fly up and another player like jumped in behind him in a big smash in the air,
Yep.
and just like that seemed neat to me. I'm always down for co-op. As a matter of fact, all my games here except for one are co-op games. I didn't really do that on purpose, just kind of happened that way. And yeah, I feel like we're in a really good spot for beat 'em ups where we have not had them. There were years we didn't have them, and then Streets of Rage 4 was awesome, and Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was awesome, and I'm hoping this continues that. There's also there's a strategy layer, not even strategy necessarily, but there's a layer on top of the beat 'em up where like you are trying to take your land back. And you are also like building your home inside this the tower of in the name Towerborn. I don't know, so it does seem like there'll be more than just a Castle Crashers esque game. I don't know. I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be on Game Pass, of course. So like, it always gets me more excited when I don't have to pay for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Indiana Jones.
Okay. We're gonna see that in a couple days.
Pretty excited. I like Indiana Jones. I like those movies a whole lot. I haven't seen a new one. So maybe I'll still like it after I watch that one. Yeah, Machine Games making Indiana Jones with Todd Howard. Pretty cool. I'm pretty interested in what that's like. I think that Microsoft is in a good position to like compete with Sony's Spider-Man with the properties they're choosing.
Right. This one's weird to me. Because I love Machine Games. And I like Indiana Jones, but I'm worried about how Indiana Jones is going to translate to a game, especially a Machine Games game, because they traditionally make balls out shooters, right? And
yeah,
that's not Indiana Jones for sure. And I think they know that. I don't think they're going to just make Wolfenstein with an Indiana Jones skin or anything.
Yeah.
But and he's not Nathan Drake either. He's not he's not like I don't know, some crazy ninja fucking jumping over gaps and mowing down a million people. Like I don't think
he's a nerd.
Yeah, he is a nerd. And like if you think about those movies, a lot of them is him running away from shits.
Yeah.
And a lot of like him just kind of accidentally bumbling around and everything. Like, how is that gonna work in a game unless they just make it Uncharted, which I hope they don't.
I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll be something. I think an interesting aspect of this that everyone seems to overlook is the idea of Machine Games trying something new.
Absolutely.
Like Machine Games getting a little out of their element and being like, let's try and make something that's not over the top. Nazi murder simulator, which the game will have Nazis. They do love killing Nazis.
Yeah. I said the other day, you could put Machine Games in charge of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo's going to be killing Nazis. That's what they do.
They love doing that. I just think it's interesting to see what they're going to do, especially with Todd Howard on board. And apparently the elevator pitch to this is crazy, from what I understand.
Don't get me wrong. I'm very interested. I'm very excited. Like I'm just been thinking about it because this developer direct's coming up. Like, I don't know what I would do if I were them.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a great idea. I have faith in that team. I have kind of heard that it's a blend of multiple different genres. It's not I think there's some first person, some third, some probably there's probably a car chase sequence where you're driving and stuff. I think it's a lot of different stuff in there.
Sure.
And
I believe in Todd. That's I believe in it.
And of course, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of exploration and puzzle solving. That is arguably what should be the most of the game is puzzle solving and exploration. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited to see it, and at the developer direct, it's a couple days away now. And it's allegedly coming out this year. Well, obviously these are all 2024 games. I mean, obviously anything could get delayed, but like, yeah, that's I did not expect. 2 weeks ago I would have said Indiana Jones is not coming out this year. No way. But seems like it is.
Apparently.
I'm gonna talk a little bit, and actually I don't even have a whole lot to say about it. But Path of Exile 2. I've never played Path of Exile before, but I played Diablo earlier this year and I didn't finish it. I've actually gone back to Diablo just in the past couple weeks. And it's got me looking at other games in this genre. And it seems like it's going to be a big year for this genre. You got Diablo's getting an expansion. Path of Exile 2 is coming. The Last Epoch, is that the name of it?
Yes, Last Epoch.
And there was a fourth one. No Rest for the Wicked, the Moon Studios game. Which actually I think is early access this year and probably not actually coming out, but yeah, it's gonna be a big year for action RPGs, and Path of Exile 2 in particular, I am just on paper so impressed with the fact that they're gonna launch with 12 classes, and each of those 12 classes has 3 ascendancy classes, so 36 classes total. That's insane. And they all, from what I've seen been watching, they all look pretty drastically different and not a lot of copy and paste between them. And the game's free to play, which, like I said, I didn't play the first one, so maybe it's really egregious with the microtransactions. I don't know. I haven't heard that. From what I understand, that fan base is pretty happy with how that's all gone, so I hope that continues. The videos I've been watching look beautiful. It looks more action-based than a Diablo, where, Diablo, you get your rotation, right? Almost like an MMO. Like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do. Here's my anytime I enter combat. Here's my step 1. Here's my step 2. Here's my step 3. This does feel more, like it has. They added a dedicated dodge button, and you can cancel your actions with the dodge. It does feel more action, I guess, just more of an action.
What you're describing to me. Sounds a lot like a little game called Lost Ark.
Yeah, I've never played Lost Ark. I was very excited for that before it came out. I was hoping it would come to consoles, and it still has not. But Lost Ark always seemed super cool to me. So yeah, it probably is. I bet you, as a matter of fact, they were inspired by Lost Ark. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game.
Seems awesome. I played about 20 minutes of the first Path of Exile. I did not care for it very much.
Okay.
So I'm sure this will be good. I just, I'm not that interested in this thing.
Tell me about your last one.
My last game of 2024 that will ever release. No more video games after this.
Shit.
FF7 Rebirth. Yeah, that game, I love FF7 Remake. It's so good. And now the sequel's coming out, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, they're cooking. They're cooking with this. Need more of that cloud.
Is Sephiroth in your party this time?
It sure seems like it.
Yeah. That's why
I'll be honest. I have not watched a lot of promotional material just because I want to go in as blind as possible.
Okay.
It sure seems like Sephiroth's a good guy now.
I thought I heard somebody mention that. I have not been paying attention. This is not my thing. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So I've not been paying super close attention, but I have kind of I heard somebody mention that Sephiroth's in your party now. Maybe that's totally wrong, but yeah.
I know Zach's in your party now because he's still alive, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know who Zach is, but okay. Is he from the PSP game?
Yes, Crisis Core. Yeah. And he's also in the original FF7.
Okay.
But it's a whole thing. Zach died in the first game, and now the twist is he's still alive in this one.
Isn't Aerith still alive too, for that matter?
We don't know. She could still live. She might live. It seems like she might, but it'd be real weird if they don't kill her, to be honest.
Well, yeah, that is, I'm in 2 fantasy critic leagues, and that game went first draft in both leagues.
Yeah,
And I have actually even looked at a couple more, and yeah, that game's going first draft in like every league. So I'd say that is the did that win the Game Awards most anticipated
it
game?
did. It
Okay,
did.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that is probably the number one game this year that like the of course Call of Duty's gonna be the number one game of the year, but the like that the hardcore is looking forward to.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so yeah, what do we know approximately when in the year? Is it fall, spring?
February
Oh,
29th.
no shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, okay. Well, damn. Well, yeah, we'll be talking about that then pretty soon.
Yeah.
I got 2 more, but I'm gonna lump them together because they're actually kind of similar. Windblown and Hades 2. Neither one of them are actually gonna 1.0 this year, but they're both coming out in early access, and both of them are very similar. As a matter of fact, Windblown, if you don't know, it was revealed at Game Awards at the pre-show from the Dead Cells developers. But you look at it and say, oh, they're taking a lot from Hades. It is now an isometric game like Hades was. And roguelike, although Dead Cells was also roguelike. I'd say Dead Cells and Hades are the best 2 roguelikes. And now they're doing another roguelike, but in a different perspective. Windblown's got 3-player co-op, with Hades obviously not. But we don't know a lot about Hades 2 yet. However, the original Hades is damn near a perfect game. Like that's in my top 10 of all time. And the fact that Windblown is going to be taking so much from that, but adding co-op and from another great studio, I'm really looking forward to both these games, and they're both very similar. It will be kind of fun to see who comes out on top. If like I don't know, it's a stupid thing to draw a competition between, but yay,
Yeah.
we're podcasts, right? That's what we do.
Exactly.
We gotta discuss who wins. Damn it.
Things are either good or bad. There's no in
Yes.
between.
Yeah. So Hades 2 and Windblown, early access this year. It's funny that they're both on my list, but I might not actually play either one of them until they're in 1.0. Depends on what platforms they come out on. They're probably both just going to be PC first, I would guess.
Switch exclusive, not the new Switch, the old one.
You know that the Hades original, I think, sold better on Switch than maybe even PC. Definitely more than PlayStation or Xbox.
Probably.
I remember it was on Switch before either of the consoles. And yeah, I know that Grubbs talked about a lot that like Nintendo was very, very happy with how that did. So that's our favorite games of last year and our most anticipated games of this year. How about that?
Hell yeah.
And there's a lot more than those that I'm looking forward to, but those are the big ones for me. Let's end this with a couple games that we are currently playing. I did Midnight Suns. I got back to it. I think I've talked on this show before how, hey, I want to get back to it. Well, I did, and I finished it. And I mostly loved it. I love the combat. I really, really love the combat in this game. This is the game, and I think I actually said this earlier, like, I like the trend that God of War is doing and Last of Us 2 is doing of adding roguelike modes. And I hope more games do it. And Midnight Suns is the number one game that I wish had a roguelike mode because there are so many things to upgrade in this game. First of all, you got 23 playable characters. Each of them have their own deck of cards. Each character has cards that you don't start with. Yep. Each card can be upgraded once. There are combat items that you unlock and use. There are passive abilities on each character. All these different things you can upgrade. They could translate that all into a roguelike mode, and I think it would be amazing. Obviously, they're not doing that because the game apparently didn't sell that well, and now it's pretty much gone. Yeah, Jake Solomon left the studio, so what does that tell you?
They killed him. I can't believe it.
I know. And the reason I say that is because as much as I love the combat in this game, the stuff between combat, I don't hate it, but it's not great. It's just kind of there. It's obviously inspired by Fire Emblem Three Houses. Of a lot of the monastery stuff is in this game. There's a lot of running around the woods, finding collectibles, finding currency. There's a couple puzzles to solve. None of them are that complicated. And then talking to the companions, and the dialogue is not great. None of these conversations that, they also are like Fire Emblem. What did I call them? Companion conversations. And there's a word for it in Fire Emblem. I forget.
You can't kiss any of them either, and that's like the worst part.
You can't. Although there is something going on between Blade and Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So
they might kiss.
No, they do. Well,
maybe they'll let you watch.
You don't see it, but it's alluded to.
Yeah, they might kiss. They probably kissed.
They probably
held hands even.
Yeah. Yeah. So but overall, I really like the game. I'm thinking about doing New Game Plus, even not immediately, but at some point I might. Because there's like one hero in particular you don't get to like the very, very end.
Yep.
So. How about Mass Effect, huh?
So I'm an addict, and I need to play this every year, or I will go insane.
I'm in that company.
Yeah, I'm playing Mass Effect again because I'm waiting for Infinite Wealth. I'm like, I can beat Mass Effect before Infinite Wealth comes out. And I'm already almost done with Mass Effect 1. So yeah, I'm going to beat it before Infinite Wealth comes out.
You're doing the Legendary Collection, right?
Yes, I am. And still doing Paragon. No new choices so far.
Have you never done Renegade?
I've done Renegade a couple times, but I'm getting older and it's harder and harder to be mean to my friends.
I am doing I said we're playing co-op Baldur's Gate, right? And I'm Dark Urge, and like I'm resisting all the bad shit. Like I came into it expecting to be totally evil, and I'm gonna slaughter everyone in this game. Like I can't do it on a lot of these guys.
Do you know about the mechanic of that though? That the more you resist, the harder the rolls will get?
No.
Yeah, so you have to kind of like pick and choose the evil choices.
Wait,
so eventually,
like all my rolls?
I don't remember if it's select ones, but the more you resist the Dark Urge, the harder it will be to actually resist the Dark Urge.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you kind of have to pick and choose.
This game rules.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's so cool.
Right. But back to Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect's so good, and I'm gonna play it till the day I die, probably.
What class are you?
Vanguard.
That's my like first playthrough was always female Shep, Renegade, Vanguard.
Vanguard is so much fun though, because it's like it's all close quarters, and I added the assault rifle just to like give myself options.
Yeah.
But like I find myself just rushing in at this point with a shotgun and just shooting death point blank in the face.
That's how you stay alive, because the biotic charge replenishes your shield.
Exactly, it's the best. But yeah, this game's fun. Like I love Legendary Collection. It's probably the most value I've gotten out of a video game ever.
Yeah.
And I own it on every console.
And the fact, think about Game Pass has the Legendary Collection. It also has the entire, well, I think some of them left recently. I was going to say it had at least the entire Persona series. It has the entire Yakuza series. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like all the shit I love on one service, so I'll never leave.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil.
Lego Fortnite. I have been dipping my toes in it here and there. It sure is a whole lot like Valheim. A whole lot like Valheim, except and they'll get there because obviously Fortnite gets updated all the time, but the building feels a little finicky, just fitting pieces together. Eventually I got frustrated and like tore down my house and used one of they have options for some prefab houses. And eventually I just did that because I was so annoyed at you got to lay down a foundation and then lay down your floor on top of that, but it didn't feel like it wasn't fitting exactly the way I wanted. I got really angry at stuff, and hopefully that stuff will be smoothed out and get better in time. But the combat is better than Valheim. I'd say the building is better in Valheim and the combat's better in Lego Fortnite so far. There's actually a game coming out called Enshrouded, or it's coming out in early access, I should say, like next week or 2 weeks. It looks like it might be the best of both worlds, honestly. But that is, I mean, that's early access, so it won't be on consoles for a while, so I probably won't get to play it for a bit, but that looks really cool. Anyway, Lego Fortnite is done well. The other modes that they added, I did a little bit of the racing. I have not tried the Rock Band one at all, but Fortnite's such an impressive package now.
Crazy.
I've observed it from before. I played Save the World like when it very first came out. I was one of the only people playing that mode. And then when they got into the battle royal stuff, I checked out because battle royal is not my jam. But you know, I've kept my eye a little bit on it about the characters they've added and stuff they've added, like everybody has. You can't be involved in gaming and not. But this is like my first time going back in at all, and it's so nuts. It's just so nuts, and like the fact that all these modes all feed into the same battle pass, it almost feels stupid to not buy the battle pass.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so dumb.
Yeah. So I did. And they're adding Lego skins for so many of their characters. I'm playing as Cable from the X-Men as a Lego man.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's really cool. I know Daredevil's on their store right now. Daredevil and Gambit and Ghost Rider. And I'm looking at Ghost Rider and like, I don't want to do it. Like the battle pass is cheap, but buying the characters alone is really expensive.
Yeah,
so,
for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a very impressive thing they've made there. I hope that they smooth out the building a little bit more. And I'm sure they're going to add to it a whole lot. It does seem like the Rock Band mode and the racing mode, because when you go in the menu in Fortnite, they have the player counts for all these modes. It seems like those aren't super popular. Like they're not doing bad, but it doesn't seem like they're blowing up. This Lego mode is blowing up though.
Yeah.
It seems to be doing very, very well. They're coming for Minecraft's throne. I mean, well, actually, they're coming for Roblox's throne overall, but this Lego mode, yeah, good. You know, if for no other reason than to see competition in space, plus Roblox's problems.
Problematic to say the least.
Yeah. Let's get out of here, shall we?
Sure.
Tell us about your other podcasts and
so
stuff.
I'm on a bit of hiatus for other podcasts right now just because life's so busy. Comedy Club will eventually come back, and so will Fam Zone. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to streaming at some point as well. But yeah, you can find me on whatever social media is below me, I guess.
Yeah. Well. Oh God, I might have to change that because you closed your Twitter again, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to change that. I didn't think of it. But your Threads is still going.
Yeah, I'm on Threads.
Do I have that on the? I don't remember. His Threads might be below.
It might be.
If it's not, I'll try to do that tomorrow before I post this. I am on Freshly Streamed Games on YouTube. I have not been streaming so much this month. I got to get back to it. I think actually I found a plugin, OBS. This is probably like to people who are better at streaming than I am. This is probably old news and shit, but I did find a plugin that might let me stream on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So I'm going to give that a shot pretty soon. But I'm going to do a live react to the developer direct in a couple days here. So that'll definitely be at least on YouTube, Freshly Streamed Games, if not on Twitch. And other than that, I don't know what I'll be streaming next. Now this Prince of Persia sure seems real cool. The 2D one comes out, I think that's next week, but it got reviewed through the roof and it seems Ori inspired, and I love those Ori games. So I might check that out. And we will be back. I can't promise you when, because like I said, it's going to be tough for a bit, but we will be back at some point.
At some point in the future.
Hunter's got to talk about Like a Dragon, so we got to come back.
Yeah, I'll have lots of thoughts by then.
I'm sure. And shit, depending on when it is, you might be able to talk about Like a Dragon and Rebirth. All right, let's get out of here. Bye, everyone.